Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Words of Heart. In today's episode, we have the privilege of speaking with Sarah Schwab. I may have mispronounced your last name. I am so sorry. Thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here. And you got it right on, Sarah Schwab. Not too hard.
Awesome. So, Sarah, if you could tell my audience a bit about yourself, that would be great.
Absolutely. So I am an entrepreneur. I am a mom. I am a wife and mother. I own my own business. I live in Wisconsin and what do I want to say? I'm in my mid 40s and I'm also a creative person. I'm really passionate about creativity and self-expression. And my favorite form of creative expression is dance. And so part of my story revolves around my journey with keeping creativity in my life.
Awesome. Could you perhaps elaborate how you got into your creativity a bit? Because I'm pretty sure, because creativity is such a vital part of our world right now, especially with us being conducive to our houses, because of the pandemic. So,
Absolutely. It's so true. So for me, I'm lucky because I found dance when I was very young, probably about 10 or 11 years old, started dancing and, took ballet and tap and jazz and all that stuff and just loved it. Like it feels right in my body. It was like love at first sight. And so I danced all through, I guess it was, middle school and high school. And I went to college considering at least becoming a dancer and having that be my career trajectory. So I took dance classes in college and somewhere along the line decided, looking at that profession, decided that that was not the lifestyle I actually wanted for myself. But made a commitment to keeping dance in my life in some way, shape, or form. And I followed my professors. I actually went and danced in Italy for a month after I graduated. I remember the moment when I came back after doing some incredible experiences. Actually, that summer I danced in Italy and I spent a month studying in Tanzania. And I came home and I was totally broke. I was done with college. I had a job lined up in Chicago, but I had nowhere to live and no money left. And I was like, what am I going to do? And my mom and dad, bless their hearts, they, were very patient and listening and understanding. And they said, we love you very much. And we're sure you're going to figure it out. And they pushed me out the door. And so I remember at that table, my biggest concern wasn't even so much like how I was going to live or feed myself. It was like, how am I going to dance? Like, is that going to be gone? So I went to Chicago. I lived with my cousin for a very short period of time and found my apartment and got going in my job and stuck to that commitment. I took company classes with one of my professors in the evening in his dance company, and I would go after work to different dance studios. Along the way, I met my husband, or my future husband. We were dating and whatnot at the time, and ended up getting engaged and moving to Milwaukee, which is not too far north of Chicago. And again, one of the first things I did, I looked for a job and then I looked for somewhere to dance. And I remember picking out a company called the Wild Space Dance Company, and they let me take company classes with them after work. And shortly after that, I got pregnant. And so I was pregnant with my first daughter, and I kept taking class with them. They were so wonderful. And even was in a show with them as sort of a little cameo when I was about 9 months pregnant with my huge belly. And then after my daughter was born, they even let me bring her in. So she would be in her little car seat thing in the corner of the studio, or we'd even put her in the middle of the circle while we were stretching and moving and warming up. And then I got pregnant again with my son. And I will tell you, I danced for as long as I possibly could. And it just, once I had my second baby, I had two very young kids. And my husband was actually doing medical training at the time, working crazy hours. I was supporting our family, working full time. I just couldn't do it anymore. It just didn't fit. And that was like the end. And I think, for so many people, a lot of people don't even make it that far with their, passions or their hobbies or their, things that they really love to do, because life, right? I mean, life just gets in the way, and responsibilities and family and all of that, house and kids and everything. So that's where I was at. And a lot of things happened, but that's where I was at for like 10 years. But then we were at an event, and people, it was like almost like a Dancing with the Stars replica, local kind of a thing. And there was a raffle, and I won the raffle. I never win raffles, right? Like that never happens. But I won the raffle, and the prize was 4 dance lessons at a ballroom studio. And it was a ballroom dance studio not too far from my house, actually. That wasn't even on my radar. And I will tell you, I walked into that studio after 10 years, and it was like I was home. It was like, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm back. And it was a whole new world, a whole new style of dance and movement and partnership that I had never done before. And that was about 5 years ago now. And I'm still taking dance lessons. I'm back on the dance floor. I've done competitions. It is back in my life. And the reason I'm here to tell this story is because it really transformed my life. I was 38 when I reconnected with dance. And it makes me a better mom. It makes me a better entrepreneur, business person. It makes me just happier and more joyful and more passionate. And there's nothing, there's no way to put a value on that, on what that can do for you and for your life. So that's what.
Wow. Oh, that is beautiful. And I think that's so beautiful. And plus, considering your love for dancing, the passion you have for it, and I'm sure it was hard to step away from it because life got in the way, and then you were able to go back to it. And it really goes to show that it's never too late to go back to your passions or to revisit your passions for a brief time, or just to get that sense of excitement again.
Oh, amen. Absolutely. And there's so many reasons people don't do it, the hurdles, and it takes up too much time, or I can't, I'm not good enough, or I'm not, whatever. There's reasons people give for not doing it, but I'm here to tell you it's amazing when you can find a way to bring it back in.
Wow. So, what are you up to now, considering everything that's going on with the world right now? You mentioned you were an entrepreneur, I believe.
Absolutely.
What does that exactly entail? I know there's different types of entrepreneurs, but what exactly is it that you do with your entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So I started my own business, doing content creation and content marketing. It's called Content Creation Coach. But my entrepreneurial and creative spirit causes me to do all sorts of things. So I create stuff all the time. And one of my other passion projects is around creativity. And so I love to share that with people. And that's actually a podcast that I host called Inspired and Amused. So if you're on your podcast platform, you can look that up. And I also have a website, inspiredandamused.com. And I tell, my story about dance, but many other people who have similar experiences where they have a creative passion that they keep in their life, even though it's not their job or their profession, or, they don't do it professionally, but they keep it in their life because they love it, because it's part of who they are, because it brings them joy. So, someone who works at a bank, but she writes poetry, and someone who is a chiropractor, but she does circus arts, which was super fascinating. So I love those kinds of stories. And something you said about, it's never too late to reconnect with that or to explore that for yourself. One thing I do on that platform is I have a series called Messages from Your Muse. And so Inspired and Amused is like, the muse is your muse. It's that voice of inspiration that has ideas and energy around that. And so you can sign up for Messages from Your Muse. And there's one that talks about this idea about it's never too late. May I read it to you?
Sure, of course.
So it says, hey, quit it with all the excuses. I hear you. You think you're too old to start something from scratch or to learn a new skill, to push your body and your mind again. You worry that it's too late, that you've passed your peak. Wrong. It's never too late. And you have no idea how high your peak can be. Your muse.
Well, I'm definitely amused and it's weird. I truly admire that. And just to give you some insight into who I am considered a very creative person. I have like this little weird poster picture of myself in the background. But that was because my dad uses an app. So that's not part of my creativity, although it is really awesome.
Yeah.
But I write poetry. I'm a digital art student that majors in like graphic design. So I'm just exuberating creativity.
That's awesome.
So
and there's so many platforms these days to share our creativity. And, I think that's another thing that sometimes is scary for people. So I acknowledge you for, starting the podcast and sharing some of the stuff that you do, because a lot of times, people are too afraid, I think is what it is, to do that, to really put themselves out there. But I think that is where growth happens and magic happens, is when you're willing to step out of your comfort zone and express yourself and share pieces of who you really are.
I strongly believe that. Just to give you more insight, for obviously I write poetry. I started in 2010 when I was a dorky little middle schooler. It was just a random day. It was for a class that had nothing to do with the class, and my kind of creative spirit kind of flew off from there, so to speak, as a little poetic term, flying away. But when I got into high school, obviously high school is a new world, and it has a lot more responsibilities. So I wasn't able to really dedicate myself to it, but I did eventually go back to it. But even though I was like writing and loving it, I kept that gift hidden, unfortunately, for a long time, because the context of what I was writing, though it was absolutely incredible, it was so different from my personality that I was afraid of being judged solely on my work. But I eventually got left. I left that fear because it's a gift I've been blessed with, and I shouldn't hide it or diminish it in any way. So eventually I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna write and speak from my heart, regardless of what anybody says. And I think because I stepped out of that fear-like mindset is what birthed some of the best poems I've ever written to this day, which is like 57. Just to give you an idea.
That's awesome.
So creativity is a wonderful, wonderful thing that many people should utilize, whether it's walking or yoga, or there's a thing called laughter meditation. I had no
Yeah.
idea that was a thing until obviously one of my podcast episodes, but there's just such a wonderful source,
And
and it can be also
awesome.
empowering as well. Um, oh, Sarah, are you there? Uh, what just happened?
I am here.
Uh, my internet's
We're
not.
getting a little choppy.
Oh no. Okay.
I hope it's not on my.
It might be on my end. This cannot be happening, but okay, I'll try to speak. Oh, it looks like you're frozen. No.
It might
No.
be okay. Do you want to turn your video off or do you need the video?
I think okay. I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Oh, oh snap. It's my okay. Oh, okay. I think it was my internet. Gosh darn it. But it looks like it's connected. I don't know what's happening. Okay, we'll try to make this.
Do you have the ability to edit afterwards?
I think so, but I think we're okay. Sorry for the
Awesome.
technical difficulties, guys. Please don't kill me. But we were talking about how, oh no. Uh
I think you're okay.
uh this is not happening. This is a new computer. This is not, it's being weird. But I'll try to emphasize my point, I guess, in a quick manner, which is not my go-to motto. We were talking about how creativity is such a wonderful platform and everyone should use it in some capacity, whether it's walking, laughter yoga, and they should especially utilize it now because this pandemic, though very unfortunate, has really limited our uses of fun, so to speak. So
That's
taking up a new
right.
hobby or interest would be very beneficial. And speaking of hobbies, have you taken up any new hobbies in correlation to this pandemic?
I kind of did actually. So besides dancing, which got shut down actually for a while, especially ballroom dancing, partner dancing, you can imagine that was not allowed for a while. Um, I how do I want to tell this part of the story? So my family is very musical. I've always had music and dance kind of go hand in hand in my life. And during the pandemic, since we were stuck with just our family in the house, basically, we started a family band. So my husband plays guitar and does a lot of singing. My son plays bass guitar. And then my daughter plays ukulele. And I actually took up the drums because we needed a drummer. And so we all do some singing, trading off of lead and backup singing. And we've done now 5, I think, live stream concerts. And they keep just getting like bigger and bigger. So we made a logo and we made a Facebook page and we like bought some, streaming equipment and stuff. So we've really gotten into it and grown into it. And it's been super fun in terms of that, creative expression and connection, but also just something to do together as a family. So it's been really a gift. It's called Rock Soup. That's our family band. We even, to talk about the creativity, we made a logo and we ordered t-shirts. So we have band t-shirts.
Oh, that's so cool.
Our family band, and it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Um, what creativity have I done since this pandemic? Well, I did get diagnosed with diabetes. That's not a creative thing, but in a way, it sort of birthed some more creativity.
Absolutely.
Because it was God's way of giving my life more purpose, and I'm trying so hard to be focused because there's so much background noise in the back, and now it's quiet. So hopefully my computer didn't get that. But anyhow, it was through my diagnosis that God gave my life more purpose, as I was just saying. And basically, he called me to be more vocal. I wasn't sure exactly how he wanted me to be vocal. Basically, I've been following this whole mantra of being a warrior for change. So I wasn't exactly sure how to go about doing that. But that was until I stumbled upon podcasting. So, as far as what creativity has been birthed as a relation to this pandemic, it would be my podcast and my poetry and some of these graphic designs that I've practiced in correlation to what I'm studying. So many creativity has exploded in regards to me in this pandemic. And
Awesome. And I think you're not the only one. You talk about your diagnosis and even the pandemic in and of itself. I think sometimes when there are changes or limitations or, things like that, it actually forces us to get creative. It forces us to say, okay, I've got to do things differently. How am I going to accomplish this? Or how am I going to do my business with, if I can't operate the way that I normally do? There's been things that are creative that people might not recognize as creativity because it's not music and poetry and whatever, but problem solving is creative. And the way you communicate with people in different ways, or I think just the things that businesses have done to keep going, whatever has shifted for you because of this pandemic or because of things that have happened to you, sometimes that is the catalyst for creative problem solving and creative change. Does that make sense?
that does make sense. I guess when you break it down, anything could be construed as creative.
I mean, I think we are like creativity. It's part of who we are. It's like a human trait. It's a human capacity. I define it very broadly. It isn't just, writing and singing and dancing. It's how you think and how you see things differently, your unique way of understanding the world and expressing your ideas and connecting to that flow. To me, it does get a bit spiritual. You talked about, your diagnosis being from God. I think all of our creative callings and ideas and things like that also, they come from somewhere outside of us. Like, it's like tapping into something bigger than yourself. So to me, creativity, it encompasses so many things and can show up in people's lives in so many different ways.
Well put. So I did have that icebreaker question. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to stump you because we're both really creative individuals. So I'm gonna try. If you could have any superpower that's not flying, what would it be?
I always struggle with this question.
Well, if it helps, many people answer it differently. So don't feel like you have to go with the concrete power. It could be a power you already possess. I'm kind of giving you some leverage here that I normally don't give.
So mine, here's what I would do. I don't know if this counts. We're going to make it up because that's what I do. I would say the ability to be in multiple places at once, because there's so many things I want to do and so many places I want to go and experiences I want to have. And, so I just feel like if I could have me's all over the place, that I could, not only do that, it would be great for me. Is that selfish? I feel like I just totally picked a superpower that's selfish, but
No, it's fine.
you can connect with more people. You could make an impact, have an impact in more places. I feel like I need to be in more places at once.
That's beautifully put. And see, that's the beauty about this question. Many people answer it differently. Some people go with comical, some people go with sentimental, and other people go with using it to help others or the world in some way. And you're
Right.
using yours to make sure that you help others in multiple spectrums, which is awesome. I always
Right,
have
because I want to be dancing, but also helping, but also, building my business and going to my kids' soccer games. Like there's so much to do.
well, I always have a go-to answer for this particular question, but I think I'm gonna change it up for once and not go with my go-to answer, which is gonna require me to do a lot more thinking now.
Right?
Because normally I don't change my answer. You know what? I'll make one up too. I'll make up a power. If I could have a power, it would be the power for my podcast to reach other galaxies, to be heard across other galaxies that have yet to be discovered.
Amazing. That is so cool.
That would be an awesome power.
Like super broadcasting, galactical broadcasting capabilities.
Yes.
Intergalactic, I think. Oh, I love it. I loved just even in this moment though, watching your mind like think, oh my gosh, I need to come up with a new different answer. Like that's the creative process. It's like, okay, what is it going to be? So that I have to tell you one more story. I just finished a workshop with a few folks for my business, but I always weave in some creative exercises or creative things to get you in that, to get my people into that place. And so one of the things we do is drawing. And so I give them a simple shape to start with. So draw this easy shape on your paper and then turn it into something recognizable, a picture or some, object, whatever. And they start working at it. And I always challenge myself to do the same exercise, but I never allow myself to draw the same picture more than once. And so every time I do it, it gets harder because I have to come up with something I haven't drawn before. And I love watching when you're given some structure like that, like your question about superhero-ness, but then also, the to challenge yourself to come up with different possibilities. So this was just beautiful. It was creativity in action.
Yes. Normally I guess I can tell you what my normal go-to answer would be. I would normally pick reading people's minds. That's usually my go-to answer whenever I address this question in my podcast, but it's Friday. Why not shake things up a bit? Shake up my
I'm actually curious. I feel like reading people's minds might be a little scary. Why is that your go-to answer?
I just think it would be cool. And I watch a lot of television. Like I'm gonna be exposing my dorkiness, but I watch Star Trek with the mind meld and Star Wars with the whole force and the whole. Actually, it's not so much mind reading. They may go inside people's with the force. I don't know if that's considered mind reading, but it involves the mind, and it's still very, very cool. And it's like in life, there's disadvantages and there's good advantages, but at the end of the day, the good, the bad, this whole crescendo of light and dark is what shapes us into who we are. So,
oh my gosh, that was some wisdom you just dropped right there. You're wonderful.
Well, we can keep talking about creativity and powers and making up new powers, which that made up power I just made up was absolutely awesome. I think that might be my new go-to answer now.
The intergalactic broadcasting.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, and the force, I love that you brought up the force. I feel like that would be a great superpower, is to be one with the force, right? For all those Star Wars folks out there.
Uh, but we are at the end of this awesome conversation of creativity. But the creativity lives on, obviously.
For
Um,
sure.
could you share any of your social plugins before we wrap up here?
Absolutely. I would love for people to find me. Again, I said there's a website, so inspiredandamused.com, and you can find my links to all my platforms. I'm Inspired and Amused on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and Pinterest, I believe. So, but also on your favorite podcasting platform, Inspired and Amused. And I would love for people to come and get some creative inspiration for themselves and maybe even sign up for messages from your muse.
Beautiful. Thank you for joining me today, Sarah. This was an awesome conversation in spite the technology trying to interfere with our creativity just now.
There's always hurdles, right?
Exactly.
Part of the journey.
Right. To all my listeners, stay healthy, stay safe. Find your muse, whatever that muse may be. It may be muse-tastic. And until next time, bye.